So I am one of the co-founders of Sahi Hai. So what Sahi Hai is basically, it's as we all know that e-commerce is changing basically. So that change is being driven by live commerce mostly, and Sahi Hai mainly deals with live commerce, and it's a live commerce platform where sellers and customers can both interact with each other in real time, and then they can buy the product. So basically, that's the transformation from the offline experience to online, and the exact same offline experience to online experience. Basically, we are humanizing the robotic shopping experience, which is currently there in the e-commerce platforms. So that was it about me and Say here.
Sure, sure. So let's go back in time. Let's do a time travel. Few years ago, I think I was checking your LinkedIn profile. It's like 3.5, almost 4 years back. You guys started probably, and before that, you were doing few jobs, right? So this, let's say, student to corporate to startup, how was that experience? The roller coaster that you experienced, like maybe you can compare a bit of your student life, let's say in college, then a corporate life, then a startup life, as a brief, as an overview. Then we'll come to details.
Yes. So actually, till class 12, I was only into studies. I never thought of anything like job. I'll be doing job. I'll be starting my own company. There was no plans actually. So from school, when I moved to engineering college, so we all know that we study very less in engineering colleges. So after that, I got a job at IBM. That was my first company, and I worked there for around 3 years. And then I moved to Infosys because I was somehow not finding my interest in the IT sector, to be very honest, though I studied it. But I thought that I am not getting enough growth, which I should have. So I thought that, okay, I'll switch. So I switched and moved on to Infosys. I worked for 1 year over there. And when I moved actually to Infosys, from there, the journey started of entrepreneurship. It started like very basic, where I only, sorry, something is wrong with my phone, I guess. So can you,
It's usually if there's a call comes, it hijacks everything because it's a phone. It's meant for calling, not for video calling. Video. Anyway, please.
so actually, it all started with making my mom. Actually, my mom has a boutique. So it all started with making a website for her, and then slowly, like, it moved on to why only for her, we can make it a marketplace. So we actually started as a marketplace, and then what happened is, then we pivoted the model, and now we are into live commerce from last year. Actually, it's just 1 year that we have been working in this live commerce sector. So that was it about the whole journey from school to college to job, and then finally to entrepreneurship.
So, what was the one fine day you thought that you will let's jump out of the cliff, or how was that transition happening?
No, actually, when I was still working, when I started this, but it was becoming very hectic because I had to give like almost 9.5 hours in office. So, and then there was like the time which required for transportation, and then I was getting no time for my like building the company, thinking about it and things like that. So I was getting no time at all. And then also I was talking to few sellers. I was because since like when you start, you have to talk to a lot of people. You just can't start like that, because you have to understand what problems are there, what problems you want to solve actually. So I was talking to them, and there were few people who were asking me that, can you come and we can have a chat? So it was always only Saturdays and Sundays for me. I could not give them time on weekdays, and as we all know that the shops mainly, they are crowded on weekends. So all they wanted was me to come like during the weekdays, during like noon. So, and also because of the so much pressure in IT, it was becoming very difficult. So then I thought that okay, it will not be possible for me to ride like two boats at the same time. So I have had to leave one, and then I decided that okay, it will be the job that I'll leave and start this whole entrepreneurship journey with Sahi Hai.
And what was this overlap time, the phase in which you were doing both the things?
It was around like 4 to 5 months.
Okay. And when you decided that you will go with this, not that, you already formed a team or something? Like, what was the, I mean, or like profitability or revenue generation? What was the,
There was no revenue generation at that point of time. It was actually me and my co-founder. We two were only there. I had another friend of mine who supported us during that time. So we three of us just started like that. And there was no revenue stream at all because we were yet to launch the website. Then we were working on it. We were almost done, but we did not launch the website. And after that, when we launched, because before launching the website, we had to we had to talk to few sellers and onboard them, because launching the website would require you to update like products and sellers. If you launch a blank website, it's like it is not correct, to be honest. And when I left the job, I was earning handsomely, and then suddenly everything stopped. Like there was no money at all. Revenue came in a much later state.
so how was that feeling of getting handsome uh, things in your hand every month versus no nothing on the
Yeah.
first of the month? How was that? I mean, did you start to feel that galat kar diya, kuch to galti ho gaya, ya, or you were like okay, okay? I mean, or like there is usually entrepreneur's life has a bit of a roller coaster, sinusoidal curve kind of, right? Did you go through that phase that galti to nahi kar diya? Like, did you feel like that every now and then or something like that?
Actually, I never thought that I made a mistake. But yes, when you are getting paid for like 4 years at a stretch, and then suddenly on the 30th or the 31st, the salary credit message does not come, it feels a bit odd, yes. But it never came into my mind that I did a mistake, because I knew that that sector was not for me. It had no growth for me. I was not able to grow up there. And actually, if you get into a job where you cannot grow in the initial phases, it's very difficult for you to survive in that industry, because it's not a very easy industry where you can just go to office, sit, relax, and then come back and have your job secured. So that's why I never felt that. And also, like, there was too much of work. There still is. We have to do a lot of work. Like one person probably does the work of 3 to 4 persons. It's very hectic. But then it never came into my mind in these 4 years that I made a mistake, because this is what I'm loving.
Sure, sure, that's good. And when you did this transition, did you start to face more hurdles than you actually anticipated? That you might have thought that, will I'll leave my job and probably start to get ABC in few months or some timeline, but then that timeline would have probably got extended and extended and extended, something like that. Please share your experience.
Definitely, because when at first when we were going to meet people, since I am from Kolkata, actually I was working in Bhubaneswar, so then I came back to Kolkata when I left the job. So we started with Kolkata. And here what happens is, when I was going to talk to people, and they were like, who owns this company? Are you an employer, or you are the owner? So that was very initial time, and we just said that yes, we are the owners. And then like probably there was the interest became very less for them, because they were feeling like okay, they are the owners and they are only coming. They don't understand that the owners need to understand the vibes first before making something or building something. Because if you don't understand things you are making for, then it's very difficult, and you will end up making a wrong product. So that was definitely there when it got extended and extended. But then we also pushed ourselves, and we had this in mind that no, we have to do it.
Sure. And how did you find your co-founder, like the one you said?
Yeah, so actually, I met my co-founder at IBM. So actually, he was good at coding. Though I am basically I was working 4 years in IT. I'm not a very good coder myself because I was not working in development domain. So actually, I met him through an office meeting like thing, and I approached him for as I told you that it all started with making a website for my mom's boutique. So I told him that will you help me make this website? So he was like, yeah, okay. And then when we started discussing things and when we started nurturing this idea, then it got actually like converted to something else, and it got to what Sahiha is today.
Sure, sure. Laksh, you had a question. You're raising your hand, or your question is answered already.
Yeah. Hi, Rajanya. Lakshya this side.
Hi.
Ma'am, I just want to have a deeper clarity of what Sahiye is, and first of all, would be like how you people make money out of it.
Yeah. So currently, actually, Sahiha, what Sahiha does is it's a platform to connect the sellers and the buyers, okay, directly. So a seller comes live with their products, and customers can join these live sessions. They can directly communicate with the seller, and then they can buy the product. So currently, we are making money in a way that we have subscriptional model currently because our app is still not launched. We'll be launching the app in 3 to 4 months this year. So after the app launch, we will start with the transactional model also. So there will be a subscription and a transaction. But currently, since the app is not launched, we are only taking subscription from the sellers on a monthly basis.
So is it like Amazon along with video calling facility or live sessions?
No, it's not Amazon because firstly, I will just talk about how we differ from Amazon because like Amazon is mostly intent based shopping. Like if you want to buy a shirt, you go search for the shirt and you buy it. But ours is not the case. We highlight the sellers, we highlight the boutiques, the stores, we highlight them because we mainly deal with SME sector and not like very big retailers, and not even very small, but yes, mostly SMEs. And also, our thing is in the vernacular language mostly. So, our target market is mainly for tier 2 plus. Whereas Amazon or Flipkart or whatever these e commerce sites, they cater to the English speaking audience of the country, which is like only around 10%. The analysis says that the English speaking country, the English speaking population of India is only 10%. We don't cater to that 10%. We cater to the rest 90%.
Yeah, that's a good way to put things. Laksh, you have a follow-up question, please.
Rajanya, ma'am, you said that you bring sellers live on board, right? So is it anyway similar to Naptol? Because that is what is coming to my mind.
Yeah, you can say that, but Naptol also, like Naptol comes in TV. And TV is a one-way communication, but ours is a two-way communication where customers can also comment or ask sellers these questions. It's almost similar to that, you can say, from the seller's point of view.
So are
And do
there
you
any
hold?
product
I mean, these
niche?
sessions you hold on like what? YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Zoom sessions.
Yeah, Facebook Lives, and we do it through StreamYard sometimes or direct Facebook Lives.
Yeah,
And
Laksh.
what product do you choose? Like, how do you choose what sellers will be onboarded? Like, do you have a niche? Like, this is the segment that these sellers will be onboarded, and this is the segment type
Yeah,
upcoming segments.
yeah. Actually, the clothing sector is our target currently, the primary target, because live selling is mostly on apparels. So we are targeting the clothing sector mainly, but then we have certain out of the box sectors as well, like kids learning toys and home utility items, things like that. We are trying to bring in. So, but our primary target is and will be for some time be totally on apparels.
Mr. Hari has a question, please.
Yeah. Hi, good evening to everyone. So, my question was, is this app like your idea? Is it somewhat similar to Meesho?
No, not at all.
Not.
Not at all.
Okay.
So Meesho is a reselling platform where the manufacturers are there who
Mhm.
give photographs, and you can sell just by sharing these photographs on your social media. But in our case, you have to have the inventory with you, because otherwise you can't come on live sessions and show the products. So it's not at all related to Meesho.
So it means you should be a manufacturer to sell, or
You can you
or
can
a retailer.
you can be a retailer. See, what happens is for the manufacturers and wholesalers, they prefer to sell their products in bulk.
Mhm.
They do not have so much time to show it on live sessions and make videos out of that. So it's more like Meesho kind of platforms, or any reselling platforms are better for them. But our target is totally on SMEs, retailers, basically, not on manufacturers.
Okay. And the client or the buyer will be subscription will be free. He can buy anything from your. Okay, got it.
They're only taking money from the sellers, not from the customers.
Okay, okay.
Lakshya, your follow-up question?
Yes. Rajani ma'am, like it's been 4 years, right? So बाहर से तो बहुत ही easy लगता है बोलने में कि sellers एक platform पे आ रहे, buyers एक platform पे आ रहे, and these are the product needs. But starting के first 2 years और first years ये marketplace create करने में आपको सबसे ज़्यादा दिक्कतें कहाँ पे आई थी, like challenges? Like for audience like us, you know, it's very easy to say कि digital marketing कर लो and SEO SMO run color, but the co-founders know like what the main difficulty is.
Yeah, the first thing you face is basically the trust, because when you are a new company or a new website, people don't trust you. They are always like, even if you provide something for free, like suppose you're a seller and I'm telling you that try my product, you don't have to pay me any money, and they are like that, why aren't you taking money from me? Where's your faida in it? Okay. And if you charge them like, give me 1 rupee and take and use my product, and they are like, we don't know you, why should we pay you? So this is the exact problem that we face, the trust issue. And I guess we are still finding the solution to these problems, because it's still there, but slowly, like since now we have somewhat recognition, so it's easier for us right now. But in the first few years, it was difficult.
So I'll give a solution kind of, or we can talk about this later. That there is zero sum game, right? When you don't give, you don't take anything, like a freebie. Second is you ask for a money. There is another one, you give money to them. That okay, here is some money, please use
Yeah.
my product. So that can, it's like हिंदी में बोलेंगे तो या तो सामने वाले को सीरियस करना है, या तो उनको पैसा दे दो या उनसे पैसा ले लो. Barter deal is not taken so seriously. We can talk about this later as a topic. Yeah, in there, please.
Hello, ma'am. Actually, I wanted to ask that, as you said, like only like English people order from Amazon and Flipkart. So I think is you are providing something different and something special, because I guess those 10% can come to you also, because it's tough according to me, because I don't prefer order from Amazon and Flipkart. I personally prefer to went to a shop and I can buy from there. So I just save my delivery charge. So if I'll order from your website, I have to pay like delivery charges and kind of, or maybe the seller will add some delivery charges because he have to deliver, because the same seller like selling in near to my home, and the same seller like selling on your website also, so there's some cost adding there. So I guess what opportunity for me to buy from your website?
See, first of all, if you buy, like if you are staying at a place and you have a shop right next to your house, you are in a limited space. Suppose you have that 5 shops only where you can go to. Where do you stay? Like where you based at?
I stay in Kolkata.
Okay, so Kolkata.
Yeah.
Fine. So you visited Delhi sometimes, and then you want to buy a product from a particular store which is situated at Delhi. So what do? You don't have any other option but to use the online way. And even if you have the direct phone number of that particular seller, he or she will definitely take some charges from you. So basically, um, that if you are ordering online, yes, you have to pay up the delivery charges. Either it's taken extra or it's already included in the product. But then you also get a variety where you can shop from any store in the country. Whereas when you go locally, it's only the place where you stay.
Ma'am, I have a like doubt bit. Like as you said, if am I right? That I went Delhi for some time and buy some apparel there, and I like that quality. So I wanted that same thing. So I have to order from there, right? So I have this better option. Not even better; it's the best option. But the thing is, like 2 days before I went Vishal Mega Mart, and they said our like trial is closed due to COVID. So I prefer when it will open, I'll try and then I'll buy. So in that case, actually, I guess those who are not English person, it's bit tough to be here. So can you provide something attractive if it's possible?
Are you trying to say that trial, like try and buy, you want to, like you want something like that? You want to try the product and then you want to buy?
Yeah, right, kind of.
Yeah, currently we are not doing that. But there are websites like that which provide you with try first and then buy.
Okay, thank you. You answered me well.
Sure. Anyone else have any question? Please feel free to ask. Okay, Laksh, yes.
Yeah. So ma'am, दो चीजें पूछनी थी, लाइक यू नो स्वॉट एनालिसिस, राइट? सो स्ट्रेंथ वीकनेस तो हमें तो बहुत हद तक समझ में आ गई है, but with respect to opportunities and threat, how similar businesses have can get opportunity from your side, and how newer businesses like आपके तो 4 साल हो गए, जो लोग न्यू मार्केट में आ रहे हैं and they are trying to solve the same problem, how your company is being a threat to them?
Okay, so you're being, yeah, you are talking about the competitors in this space, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Entry barrier rather. How you are a threat to them, not they are a threat to you.
Yeah.
Look, what happens is this industry is very new. It's very new in India. It has it started with China, and in China, live commerce is a boom. But with India, it's slowly growing. So, and also we have started with this model just last year. So, we will not be counting the previous 3 years because we pivoted it completely. And like the threats, what I won't talk about the threats, but it's like what we are facing, the whole industry is facing currently, is lack of engagement. Because what happens is people have an attention span of nearly like 3 to 4 seconds nowadays. So you have to grab the attention in 3 to 4 seconds, the first 3 to 4 seconds. So it's difficult to get engagement, like huge engagement, I would say. But then once again, since we started early and we were in this zone only, we know a lot of insights, a lot of seller insights, and maybe we are ahead of our competitors in that way, because we are constantly checking our competitors, and we have seen that they have like almost not even 10% of the sellers we have currently.
Yeah, but one question I have on this only. Uh, don't you think at times that other big giants who are there already in the market can sort of integrate this idea overnight, sort of, and upgrade themselves to a have a live wing also?
Yes, they can, because they do not have those barriers of money or technology or people, maybe the employees, they can, but then they have again to they have to basically start from zero only, because as I told you that the target audience for the e-commerce and for social commerce is completely different. So if we all know that Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, these are very big companies, but if you go to, why are they still confined to such a less population? Like they have been there for 10 years. It started, everything started around like 2009, 2010, all these companies were founded. And it has been more than 10 years, but they could not cross that metropolitan city thing. And they could not move to tier 2 plus or tier 3, tier 4 cities.
For sure. So you might get a buyout offer though. That's a possibility because you have a different crowd altogether with maybe slight overlap.
Not very
Sure.
soon. That will take some time.
Yeah. So, Rajane, there's one more question I wanted to ask regarding this career choice. A lot of engineers do MBA as a shot at redemption, right? Like, पाप धोना है, अब चलो MBA कर लो. Did that also cross your mind that should it be MBA versus startup, or like did the MBA thought come to your mind, and how did you overcome?
Yeah, actually, it did come. I won't lie over here. It did come when I thought that I will leave the job and then I'll go for the MBA. Yes, but then we already started it, and then I did not want to leave it like in the middle. And actually, my parents wanted it more than me. That MBA kar lo, your life will be sorted. You have this much years of experience, job experience, and then you'll do MBA, and then you'll live a great life. But then I believe that in this 4 years, like in the first year itself, maybe probably I have already done the MBA. It's not a degree, but then yes, the amount which I have learned, it's immense.
The experience is far more, a lot more actually, and covering a spectrum, right, from all directions, 360-degree development on the practical side.
Yes, true.
So, from your side, if you have to advise, let's say the youngsters who are in college or even school, uh, like in your case, you did a part-time startup for a while. Then after things were getting in the acceleration phase, and then you realize that okay, it's probably now I cannot handle two boats or something. Probably you could have handled if the other boat got smaller, but unfortunately, in the corporate, you don't have the option of reducing the work hour, etc. It's all fixed. It's only increases though; it never decreases in general. So वो एक fix है, and then apart from that, you have to pull out time, which becomes difficult at some point. So that's the thing. During this COVID period, like at a personal level, what I realize is maybe one skill or just relying on one thing might be a bit dangerous. Your case is online, so you may not have thought so much, but as a like a holistic view, if you think, a lot of businesses suffered because they were all like kind of going to that ikigai, एक चीज पे फोकस करना चाहिए, one boat kind of the mindset. But last 1 year or 1.5 year at least, I think, made us think, or made me think at least, we should have a minor skill also as a money making skill or something that you can cling on, let's say if one thing doesn't work out. So what's your take in this backup plan? Like, do you believe in this kind of backup plan for entrepreneurs or as an individual? What's your take, please?
Yeah, actually, I prefer to keep like plan Bs and plan Cs in hand. If the plan A does not work out. But then I have never thought that I will like probably I'll switch to job or I'll do something else, because I have this thing in mind that maybe like my mission is like my goal is fixed. But the ways to reach my goal, that can be like 3 ways I have thought of. Like if this does not work, I'll go like this. And if this also does not work, I'll come like this. So in that case, you can say that plan ABC. But talking about the goal, like because there are times like I would say that starting of the lockdowns last year, we actually lost our entire team, our entire sales team. which we had gathered. And you know that sales team it's very difficult to get. You need to like talk to almost 200 people to get one. So we actually lost the whole team because we were not in a state, we are not in a state where we could give them salaries by like they are doing nothing, they're sitting at home and we can give them salaries. So we cannot afford that being a startup. And so basically they went home, they did not know when to come, how to come. So we lost that entire thing, and that was the time when we were feeling a bit helpless, and we also did not know that how should we start. The shops were closed, and it was like it was happening for the first time for everybody. So, and it was also not like कि 3 months का पूरा है, it was always like 2 weeks, again 2 weeks, फिर 1 महीना हुआ. So, and
धीरे धीरे 1 साल हो गया.
Exactly. And a lot of sellers, they were also facing a lot of problems. Some had to, like those who were using like the kiraya shops जो पे थे, पे जो थे basically, जो like उनका नहीं था दुकान, they had to pay these EMIs and things like that. So उन्होंने सबने अपना दुकान छोड़ दिया. They were doing from home. So yes, we did face this kind of thing, and there was the time when we were thinking that what should we do? Like nothing was in our hands, nothing was getting out of the mind. It was very difficult. It was a very difficult situation, but never did this thing come in mind that okay, let's leave it and go for job interviews again and then switch to jobs.
Sure. You know, this layoff as a founder, if I talk about, sometimes we have to take all these harsh decisions where we have to lay off people and like sort of say sorry, or even sometimes not say sorry and just like pretend to be brave maybe or more brave than what what we are from inside. And this can create a lot of mental health issue, or like at least a minor, I mean, it depends on how much time we take to bounce back obviously, and that can obviously reduce with time. I mean, you can recover within a day, within a minute. It all depends on person to person. But with this, let's say the COVID time or other times when let's say entrepreneurs have to manage all this cash flow, right? Maybe they are profitable on the books or revenue making on the books, but somehow the cash management didn't work out very well, and they have to, and then employees are obviously there for the cash. They are like the other side of the coin which you left, the other world, where they all expect end of month salary, etc., and maybe some incentive, and then you have to sort of let them go, and then you probably have a bit of a bonding with them. They were together and maybe there was a lot of time. So this for your case especially, like when this thing happened, like when you had to tell them that bye bye thing, how long did you take to decide this decision is not something which a lot of people can take within a day or half day or maybe a week also. What was your, I mean, how did you all deal with this? Like, let's say you thought and executed, what was that duration and what was going through your mind or your team, etc.? Please, if you can enlighten, because this decision making, a lot of people from outside think it's a very rosy, but when we have to make all this decision, it becomes very much emotionally traumatic. It's like million, I mean, like multiple breakups at the same time.
Yes. So actually what happens is in a startup, you need to move very quick because we don't have that huge cash with us. So like which we can spend for mostly 6 months. So what happens in big MNCs is that they will keep you for probably 1 year and then they will throw you out that आपने पूरा साल नहीं काम किया तो अभी आप जाओ. But in startups, you need to decide that within days. You have to decide it because otherwise it will be a problem for you. And you don't want that extra baggage because there are a lot of work and there is always a lot of pressure. So you don't want to take that extra baggage. So the thing is, when the first a few employees we had to lay off, so that time we actually sat together, like all 4 to 5 of us who are in the core team. We all sat together and we were just like कि इसे निकाल दूं, क्या करेंगे, ये चला गया तो we need a person over here also, which we don't have. And then we were having varied discussions, but then ultimately what came out is that even we are, if we do not get anyone in that person's place, still it's better to lay off, because like spending money um, on somebody who is not giving you anything is not basically how we can survive. So we have had to like basically take this harsh decision.
And how much time roughly you took in your case?
Yeah, it was like we checked for that person almost for 10 days, and we contacted him multiple times that आपका क्या problem हो रहा है, aren't you going out, what kind of answers are you getting when you are talking to sellers. And he was always very reluctant, and then we started finding out that he was also lying to us. And then
Yeah, lot of people find short circuit ideas. That's another problem.
our core team, it did not take more than like it was done in a day. Basically it was done in a day, because we have been seeing what kind of things he was doing, so it was easy for us. But that process was almost for 10 days, where we tried contacted him multiple times, we visited him actually, we talked to him in person, and that was around 10 days.
Sure. Sahil have a question, then Inder can ask. Sahil.
Yeah. Hello Rajanya. Sahil this side. So basically, as you have the 4 years of experience in distributing and the marketing chain, so it's been my personal question that I'm having my own startup. It's app-based startup and its MVP will be launched in the 2 months. So basically, in my app, there's one section of the shopping section. So we are not dealing in the wide variety of segment. So at the initial stage, should we call the distributor to come our site and sell their product, or should we become the own distributor and sell our product at the initial stage?
Can you explain your startup a bit, then it will be easier for me to
Okay, not on. Okay, it's been like the community-based app startup. So basically, we are defining one community, and they have their own products. So it's a large community. So we are selling the products of that community, and there are several distributors on the Amazon. So should we reach out that distributor, or should we should we become own distributor and sell out the product by ourselves at the initial stage?
like I have few questions to ask you, like
Yeah.
all what categories are you dealing in? Is it clothing? And secondly,
Yeah.
is community based means like, are you talking about the manufacturers, or you are talking about the customer community where they can
Okay,
share
okay. Oh, just I'm just not giving the clarified idea, but just a simple, just think about the Marvel community. So what we are doing, we are just making the community app, and there's one section where we will sell all the Marvel stuffs. It might be the action figures, it might be the comics, it might be anything t-shirt related. So at the initial stage, should we reach out the distributor to come at site and sell out their product, or should we become the ourselves distributor and sell out the stuffs?
I guess you, if you stick to the first one, it will be easier for you, because in that case it won't be cost heavy. And when you are starting, always try not to make yourself cost heavy, because if you are the distributor yourself, you need to procure things, I guess. But if you are asking the distributors to come and sell in your platform, it's easier for you to make traction and make your name, and then you can move on to the inventory yourself. So in that case, you won't be cost heavy from the very beginning.
Yeah, thank you. But as you said, so my question is just basic that how should we reach the distributor at the initial stage? Means
Okay.
I'm just yeah.
So first of all, what you can do, first thing is you have to find out that who these sellers are. So if it's good if you start from your own city, like where do you stay?
Pune.
Okay, so in Pune, you have to find out the stores which sell these products. Suppose the Marvel products, you have to find out these stores, and then you have to like build connections, because networking is the key.
Yeah.
You have to build the connections and ask these sellers, because see what happens is, if you start with online, you will get like maybe you will get 10. I'm just giving you a rough example. Maybe you got 10 names, and you will see that 5 to 6 of them are not working. So the first, always it's important to go offline and search for authentic sellers or authentic distributors so that you can start off with them. So it's always so I will tell you that research where the markets are, go and talk to these sellers, ask them multiple questions, and then you start.
Yeah, thank you.
बेसिकली
Thank you so
धक्के
much,
खाना
ma'am.
होगा बहुत जगह, 100 जगह में से कोई एक जगह
हाँ,
पे
वो
मिलेंगे
है।
लोग. बट एक और चीज है, आई थिंक इफ यू हैव सम नोन वंस लाइक somebody in your known circle, you can try targeting them. Maybe like I was giving one advice, you can pay them some money that let me do your semi distributor.
Yeah,
Like if you are targeting the first circle, what happens is the first circle will come to you, and they will just, maybe they will probably just tell you, oh great, you are doing this and doing that, but then they are not going to buy from you. People who already know you won't trust you at first. You have to gain trust of people who don't know you, and after that you will see that these people who were just not trusting you, or they knew you previously but they were like, oh kya hi kar lega, then they will come.
yeah,
So you
exactly.
think strangers are the best customers in the initial stage, not the relatives? Sure. Inder, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Ma'am, I checked your website, sahiya.com. Is this your website? It's amazing and nice. Like, it's very good. I have checked your price. It's our like retail price, right?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I have like categorized my own in three types. Like, customer can be three types. One
Sorry,
goes.
can you come again?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, your voice just broke. Yeah, it's fine now.
Okay, okay. Actually, I personally categorize customers in. Actually, I wanted to help if like I can be. So like you can make much better. I know you can. It's almost like it's already one of the best. But I'm just trying to help something if it can be make it can make sense if. So I categorize people in three categories. One who like trust shop. There are like my father is also. He's just saying we have to buy from on only that shop. And nowadays people trust on brand that I'm gonna buy this brand. And some also there are customers those who trust on mall, that we go to Big Bazaar, we go to Bazaar Kolkata. So basically those who trust on shop, those who are like became older, so they were like not friendly with online shopping. Yeah, there are some customers those who are like friendly to online shopping. That is like good to us. So my strong suggestion was this, na ma'am, that here is the retail price. So is it possible that like you can onboard here wholesaler directly, so you are the retailer here, and if you onboard the manufacturer, so you are the wholesaler here? Is it possible?
No, actually, we are only the platform. We do not want to become retailers ourselves. We
Okay,
don't.
okay, okay. So
Yeah.
so I
As
just
of
wanted
now,
to say, is it, yeah, is it possible that whole like manufacturer can come to you and he can sell?
Of course, we do have some wholesalers as well who generally before the live session they always tell you that these are prices. If you take 10 products together, like if you are suppose they are showing a sari and they will tell you that this sari will cost you 300 rupees each, if and only if you take 20 pieces. These manufacturers are, because a common person like you and me won't buy a same 20 pieces sari, right? So
Yeah, right.
if retailers and manufacturers want to come, they can surely come. We are not like we won't take them or we won't give our platform to them, but then our main focus will be retailers. And actually the whole main focus is B2C, because by B2C you can scale a lot in the initial days, then you can always move to B2B2.
Right, ma'am. I have a like. Is it possible that you can onboard some lens manufacturer, like any lens manufacturer can come to this platform? Is it possible?
Lens, you mean like
Uh,
contact?
yeah, contact lens. Yeah, soft lens and these kind like one day lens, yearly lens,
I
colored
don't
lens.
Yeah, I don't think that's a very right category for us, because that thing is basically for
You
normal,
deal with only apparels?
mostly apparels now. See, the thing is, ours is a video commerce. Okay, video commerce or live commerce is the same thing, whatever you call it. So you
Yeah.
have to stick to categories which can be shown. Okay, otherwise people won't take so much of time to understand. Suppose for lens, you don't want to see how a lens looks like. You are only concerned about the quality and the power, right? But you are concerned about a dress you are going to buy. So that's where the category segregation comes into play. And basically the medicine or grocery or spectacles or eye products, these are not currently in our list of categories.
Oh,
You are
no,
on
ma'am. I
that
just asked
emotional
because I have, yeah,
hitting products.
yeah. Actually, I have a manufacturer from contact lens, so that's why I asked you.
Oh,
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah.
There is one more question. Do you engage Instagram influencers?
yeah. So currently, no. Our platform is not for influencers. Currently, it's only for the sellers who themselves can act as nano influencers or micro brands, what you can say. Because the influencer driven, we have two very big platforms already, the Bulbul and SimSim, who deals with live commerce, and they are mostly influencer driven. So currently, it's a no from us. We are not letting in influencers in our platform.
And how did you build the other side, the audience, the ones who will buy the product? So obviously, it's a chicken egg issue. Whenever you went to the seller, they'll say, okay, where is the buyer? And the buyer will say, okay, where are the products? So how did you balance that thing in your
Like,
case?
for customers, we do not have any other option but to rely on online marketing. That's the only way we are currently reaching out to them. Previously, we were doing some offline camps, but then also it did not work out very well because of like partial lockdowns and things like that. So it's totally online now. We are doing ads on Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, so things like that.
So this live sessions, it's like a recorded session or like live, or only live, or both?
So actually live sessions do occur, and then the live sessions remain as recorded ones. It's not like that if you cannot join the live sessions, you just missed it. No, it's not like
Okay. So you kind of making the sellers pretty much like an ad film in some ways. Like let's say Elon Musk showing his own car in a show, but here it's a live session instead of a real
that.
physical session.
Yes.
Sure. That's quite good. And now I think you said you charge your sellers all the time. So any seller comes to you and they say that, okay, I would like to list my product on your website, I would like to buy this subscription. Do you do some checks before you allow them to sell on your site, or how is that? Maybe briefly if you can tell.
Yes, we do some checks. We always ask for their like business details, like if they have GST, they have registered business, and if they do not, like there are home runners who have the full inventory at home. They do not have the registered business also. So we try and get in, like we take all the legal documents, like if, because we need to check if they are fraud sellers or not. So we take legal documents from them before proceeding with the onboard.
And you had any customer complaint, or like how do you handle, or any story you can share maybe? How do you manage that customer feedback, complaints, etc.?
Yeah, first of all, by God's grace, we have not received any customer complaint yet. But yes, we received certain like fake orders, fake COD orders. We did receive some, and we were very confused when it was for the first time. That customer told that no, I'll not be taking this product. So it was a new thing for us. So that was the time when we got like, when we were like, then why did he place the order? And then we like it became a habit, like okay, not a problem, things like this happen. But we have not received like big complaints about us. Yes, there are few which gets resolved very easily. like we give them certain coupons, and sometimes only apologies are actually
Yeah, COD orders can pretty much kill a startup e-commerce, right?
true.
But when this COD order comes, I mean, let's say whatever money is lost if the thing is refused, who takes the loss in your case? Like you all take as a company. Okay, okay, I see. Okay, any other question, guys? I think we have last 5 minutes. All good. Yeah, okay. Okay, so tell us maybe a challenge or something you would have known a bit before, which you learned much later. I'll give an example. Actually, I didn't ask this before, but maybe now it's a good time to end. Financial literacy. Most engineers, pretty much all engineers, or I think not just engineers, except maybe the commerce student, most people are very much financially illiterate. They don't know how to manage cash, how to see that profit loss, maybe just know the formula, selling minus buying by 100 is equal to profit percentage. That's all, and maybe got good marks in their school, college. So at the very initial level or till now, I mean, how did this cash flow management learning experience went for you? And this knowledge is not just for business, it's also helpful to manage a personal finance also. Similar principles. So please, could you throw us some light on this financial illiteracy and how you overcame or overcoming, please?
Yeah, like I'll be very honest, and I'll just answer very honestly here. Like we do have a person in our core team who is a economics master, so it's easy for us. Because we never had to deal with this. Especially I never dealt with financial things because it was all his responsibility. We do have actually CA who manages our this things like GSTs, then this income tax filings and everything. But the company internals are being managed by our core team only, because he is pretty good in finance and he only tackles it. I'll say that I have never learned it also
But you have this person from the very beginning.
from the very beginning.
Oh, your co-founder, is it? Is the finance guy?
He's not a co-founder, but he's not the co-founder. Co-founder is someone else, but he is actually from like we got him through personal connections, like friends. I don't even remember exactly, but he was there from the very beginning. Within 4 to 5 months of our when we started our operation, and he's still there with us. So he's basically in the core team, and he knows everything. And he's see, we have to segregate our responsibilities, and actually it's his department only.
So I think indirectly you are actually saying a very good point. Have a person who can manage your or keep an eye on your numbers, because if you don't have that person, you might be doing that yourself as a founder or co-founder or the initial team. And if you are not an expert in that, the things might crumble very easily. It's not that you cannot learn or nobody can learn. Everyone can learn, and I think everyone learns. A lot of examples are there, but it can from my personal experience also, I think so I was good in maths, but when it came to finances, I also crumbled. So it was a roller coaster ride for me to learn all the finances. I'm still learning. I'm not an expert, but I think, yeah, like having a person who is an economist or a finance guy definitely helps. So I think for everyone, that's something you should learn, rather, if you are jumping in the startup. If you cannot find a person, or find a person, then jump, or just find a person after just jumping, maybe, because otherwise things can get very messy, and it can become like a one-way street, and you'll just kind of crumble. So yeah, Rajanya, thank you very much for all this insightful journey stories. And we always want, the budding entrepreneurs give us the very latest, the skill set and the ways, all the silver bullets you can say, the latest silver bullet edition, because जो 10 साल 15 साल पुराने हो गए, they may not, their knowledge may be a bit outdated. So that's where we started this session, that will only invite the very newcomers, so that they can guide their immediate junior, senior to junior, potential junior guidance. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you Rajanya, a special thanks to Rajanya. So we'll have this session again next Friday with a new guest. Thank you everyone. Good night.
Thank you and good night, everyone.